My name is Jordan Ashley Walker. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Public Affairs Manager here at Charlotte Communications. Today we're here to talk about the cold start to 2018 that we've had and really to talk about something that I think a lot of us often take for granted, and that's having a warm roof over our heads during this bitterly cold weather. The people behind me have worked incredibly hard over the last few days really to come together as a city, as a county, and as partners in this effort, in this initiative. So what I'm going to do is kick it off to Deputy Chief Rich Granger. He's going to talk a little bit about these efforts that have been ongoing for the last few days, and then afterward he'll open up the field to questions. Chief?
Good afternoon, everybody. We assembled this, and we've been working for the past week, and we've noticed that there's been some misconceptions and misunderstandings circulating on media and social media of what we do here in this community, especially around sheltering in the homeless. We're very fortunate here to have an extremely robust shelter system, not only during extreme situations of this unusual, not unheard of, but unusual cold snap this week, but our shelter system's in place year-round, and we're meeting the needs of the community. We're very fortunate to have an urban ministry, the men's shelter, the Salvation Army, even CATS assists us with transportation. We also have the Salvation Army that's in the urban ministries, as well as the men's shelter. They relax their rules during situations like this. And currently we're meeting the needs of the community. Everybody who has sought shelter, everybody who needs shelter is accommodated. We actually still have capacity. Thanks to what Urban Ministry also runs is the Room with the Inn. And Room with the Inn is area churches that sign up and volunteer in our program to assist us, especially with influx of need during times like this. We still have capacity, and we still have the ability to add people to our system if needed. But we also have a small population that doesn't want to come into a shelter. They prefer to stay where they are, and we assist them with handing out warmers. We hand out sleeping bags. The volunteers of these organizations also go out into the community and make sure that population is being served and is okay and doing well. So I can't thank everybody enough. And to back all of us up, the Red Cross steps in, and when we have an influx of need, they bring our cots, they bring our blankets, and sometimes even food as needed. So we're very proud and very happy. The 3 years that I've been a part of this and have been serving in the capacity of Emergency Management Director, this is the best it's ever gone. This should be the model, and I see it continuing to be the model in the future. I'm very happy and very proud of everybody that's standing up here with me today of what we've been able to accomplish. We started early this week, meeting regularly on a conference call, making sure that all the needs are met, and we're still within those guidelines and goals. So with that said, we're here, and we'd like to answer any and all questions that you may have.
You mentioned capacity. So how much more capacity do we have? I mean, I take it you've got plenty of people who are out there now.
We do. Last night, if I remember correctly, the numbers, we still had about 100 beds available. Do I have that about right? We still had about 100 beds available. And we do have the ability to expand if needed, but we don't do that unless we reach the capacity of what our system is now.
Is that at one particular location, or is that just at various locations?
We have various locations. The churches from Room with the Inn are scattered throughout the community. The Salvation Army is over off of Spratt Street. We have the men's shelter up on Tryon Street, and we have an urban ministries over off First Street, if I remember correctly.
What do you anticipate going into tonight? When do you decide to reevaluate? Is there a time, like a cutoff point at any point where you would say, okay, I think we're good for the night, or will you continue to evaluate as the night goes on?
Yeah, we don't decide to evaluate. We constantly evaluate. We stay in contact constantly. We monitor the weather. I get the weather report through emergency management and from the National Weather Service about every 3 hours. What we expect tonight is down in the teens for temperatures. The wind chills will be down into single digits. And that is one thing that begins to drive people, more people into our shelters. But right now, with our forecast and what we've known, and as we work with that community, we have more than enough to accommodate that capacity.
How much of an effort do you make to talk people into getting off the street?
Extreme effort. Especially Urban Ministry, they have a volunteer staff that actually goes out into the community, speaks with this particular population, and everybody who wants to come to a shelter is brought to a shelter. CATS even assists us with our transportation, and then those that do not want to come in, we can't force anybody to come in. And those that don't want to come in are handed warmers and sleeping bags and blankets and things of that nature to assist them. And we've met every one of them's needs.
Compared to years past, how big is the need this year, would you say?
Well, this is not an unheard of, but an unusual cold snap for us, especially this time of year. So the need on our system is a little higher than normal, but it's well within our ability to accommodate.
What are the odds of somebody surviving out there without the blankets, without the sleeping bags, without the blankets? I'm just wondering if there are any people out there that say, no, I want nothing but to survive.
To my knowledge, we haven't experienced that. I would say that it'd be very difficult to survive in a wind chill of, which I believe is going down to 6 degrees tonight with a temperature around 15. So yes, it would be difficult, and that's why we started this even before this cold snap arrived and began working with that population.
The 100 beds available last night, those went unused, right?
Correct.
How many, are you able to say, an estimate perhaps, how many beds we have in the county?
It fluctuates because our Room with the Inn program, as well as our sheltering program, changes depending on what's going on in the community. Sometimes our churches have functions and can't assist us, and sometimes they don't and they can assist us, and we're very dependent on volunteers as well. So that number does fluctuate some, but we're very fortunate to be able to have enough, and we've had enough all week to accommodate.
One of the things that we heard yesterday from a homeless family is that there's not enough family housing that keeps units together. So husbands who didn't want to be separated from wives or their children. In your opinion, as we look forward or look ahead, do we need more of a specific kind of housing in this community right now?
You know, I don't think we're ever going to be perfect, and I do think there are some needs that we're not quite meeting yet, but we're working for that. But anytime that you're dealing with shelters, you are dealing with multiple genders and multiple age groups and things of that nature. So safety plays a role. So yeah, I do think there's some things that we can do, and we're going to continue to work towards that, which we have been.
Like family housing or more of that opportunity for families to stay together?
Sure.
What was your occupancy last night?
Does anybody have that number?
Sure, I can talk about
Sure.
for the Salvation Army. We had about 432 people in the shelter last night. So we have about 360 beds. When the weather gets cold, we do stretch it because what we know about family homelessness and children is that going to temporary shelters and not being in a place where you can catch the bus, et cetera. So we put down cots. So when we say beds, we're referring to cots and mats and blankets.
And you said that was,
That's just for the Salvation Army?
That was just for the Salvation Army.
I'm sorry, how much did you say that was?
We had about 434 people.
What about everybody else?
Sure. Good afternoon. So at Men's Shelter Charlotte, we actually have 2 shelters. Between the both of them, there's 366 beds. And we've been at capacity, but we have been on overflow status. So last night, for example, we had an additional 63 people who were on cots or mats at our Tryon Street shelter. And that's thanks to our partners at Red Cross who provided blankets and cots for that. So that kind of gives you an idea of our capacity. And we talked about we could really house an additional 100 people at our North Tryon Street campus. So the highest we've seen has been about 83, but it's usually averaged here this week so far in the 60s. And I think it goes up or down based on, as he was mentioning, with room in the inn and the congregational support that we have. So, but right now we've been managing. So.
So last night was 366 plus.
Plus 63, yes. Right. So the extra 63 are all at our North Tryon Street facility, right there on 1210 North Tryon.
What else?
How many, well, I mean, I know that also fluctuates, but in terms of, I know there's the men's shelter, can you tell me how many organizations work with them?
Well, you have the men's shelter on North Tryon Street. You have the Salvation Army that runs the women's and children's facility over off Spratt Street. And then we have Urban Ministry over off First Street, and those are our primary partners. But Urban Ministry, along with them, they have their partners with what we call Room with the Inn, and those are the area churches that sign up and offer the additional capacity in the evenings. And one of the reasons we use that is that we have to have facilities with facilities. So we can't just open a warehouse and make it a shelter because we don't have bathroom facilities and the ability for food and things of that nature. So we're very fortunate to have those people volunteer for that.
Was anybody at Room at the Inn last night, or you were able to handle it without?
No, Room with the Inn was part of our capacity last night in assisting us. If that's it, I'd like to close with, I can't thank enough the partnership between the county and the city and all of our partners that are standing up here. Without their assistance, we wouldn't be able to do this. We simply don't have the capacity or the ability or the facilities to do it without them, and I can't thank them for enough. And we've been very successful this year, and we're going to continue to work hard to continue that success. I'm sorry? My last name, Granger, Granger.
If they get you two guys to do the same as well, just so we have it on, so your name's not on.
Deronda Metz, DeRonda,
Sure. Randall Hitt, Randall, Hitt, Hitt, Director of Philanthropy for Men's Shelter Charlotte.
Thank you, everybody.